Recently I've been watching all of Superfastmate's videos where he builds and races his custom streamliner. First of all, that's insane, but also it made me want to create a land speed animation. So to do that, I'll get started with the easiest part, the salt flats that these competitions are being held on. To do that, I added a plane and then started working on the shader, using a Voronoi texture that I crunched up with a color ramp and using that for displacement. Now I didn't want to make the whole environment high resolution, so I separated a small chunk and just subdivided that one with adaptive subdivision. The Voronoi texture alone is unnatural looking, so I messed it up with the noise texture. Of course, this alone still isn't enough, so I also have to use a different noise texture and variations of that Voronoi texture to get the displacement to look a bit more natural. Once I'm done with that, I'll add a bit of atmosphere, just a simple principled volume. And what I'm doing now is where the cars actually do their runs, it's smoothed out because you wouldn't want to drive like 200 miles per hour over like chunky salt. So yeah, I added that as well and made some mountains with geometry nodes, placing them in the background. I will say that initially I did this with noise textures, but I mean, I just didn't like how that looked, so I switched to mountain height maps. After that, I started modeling the streamliner. I'm adding a box and then just adding a subdivision surface and moving it around until I like what I have. I think I redid the car once or twice actually. But with the rough model done, I'm starting to make the animation and searching a camera angle. Now I'm redoing the land speed car because the first version I was not happy with at all. And this one is pretty rough right now as well, but already better, and I'm tweaking it further. Happy with the general shape. I'm adding a red car paint material. I'm making it red because I wanted to pop out against the background. Also struggling again with the windshield, but what I ended up doing is to just paint it in and then mix in a glass material where that mask has. And this way I can really easily get the shape I want. I'm using the smooth fall off of the texture to get a window seal as well. And then also painting on some body panel seams, which I will then use that mask for bump. Well, then I also wanted to add some rivets, and initially I tried painting them on, but that wasn't a good idea. So instead I added some circles and shrink wrapped them to the surface of the streamliner where I wanted to have rivets, making them follow the body panel seams. For the stabilizer I'll use a carbon fiber material and also add a text with a number on it. Then I'm appending it or linking it into the scene and continuing to search camera positions. I'm not really happy with the camera positions I have right now, so I'm trying around. This shot from above I really liked, but you couldn't really recognize that it was a land speed racer, so I didn't do that. Then I'm playing around with the film emulation node group, which you can by the way check out with the link in the description. But yeah, then going back to the mountains, adjusting the atmosphere, camera angle once again, lighting. I'm just in the mode where I'm trying to find something that works here because this currently does not. But I'm getting ever closer to the final results, playing around with focal lengths, which is also really important. I'll also model some mile markers. In actual land speed racing they have these markers that tell them, oh, you're at mile 1, mile 2, mile 3. Also adding some cones so that we have a better sense of speed, placing them at the sides of the race track. I wanted some more separation from the mountains, so I added a box over them and gave that box a volumetric material, making it fade out with the height of the box. Then to make the sky look less empty, I also imported some of my clouds. And now this is a fun part. Land speed cars have some sponsors on them always, so I thought I'd come up with some weird and funny sponsor logos. The first one is like best pickles in town, which then shrink wrapping that to the surface again. Next one is just square tires, holes because the font has holes, and this one is my favorite, alien burgers, don't worry, they're edible. But anyways, this is how it looks, very close to the final scene. And by the way, while this is rendering, I have made a full walkthrough step-by-step course on how you can create the scene, which you can check out on my Patreon. So check out the link in the description if that sounds interesting. On my Patreon there are also all my node groups that I make, the clouds, the new film emulation, the old film emulation, procedural moss, my tree generator. Check it out if you're interested. But anyways, then I also downloaded a Mixamo model of like this soldier because I think the suit would match like a land speed racer's suit pretty well. Like it wouldn't, but from afar it would look like that. Then for some camera shake, I did like a really high frequency noise and a lower frequency noise to make it look like it's really going fast and it's like vibrating. Then also adding a color grade, and with that it's done. So here is the final result.